Hey everybody, we're back for another video. We got our stuff for the brake lines on our frame, so we're going to go ahead and start running the lines, the brake lines for the video or for the chassis here. We do have our engine out to the machine shop, so as soon as we get the parts back from that, we'll be doing a video for that as well. But today's video is going to be setting up the rubber lines and the steel lines. What we've done is made a little tab just out of a little scrap piece of metal I had laying around. I think it's like 14 gauge. I drilled I think it's like a 3/8 hole, 5/16 hole, something like that, here and one there, and then we put it in the vise and just put a little offset bend on it. And what that's going to do is I'm going to take out one of the bolts on the rear end. We're going to go ahead and install this right here, and what that's going to do is it's going to hold the end of our rubber line in place. This particular rear end didn't have the lines on it. When I got it, they were already removed, so we didn't have the little bracketry to utilize and use. But sometimes, even if you do get them, they're rusted out or all bent up, and sometimes they're not usable anyway. So we just made our own, and also what we did is we made our own brackets to hold the other end of the rubber line. As if you look at your rubber lines, may not be exactly the same as these, but there's a pattern there, and as you can see, we've just put a 5/8 hole in there, and I took a file and hand filed that out real quickly. I built this one and the two for the front. I think I have maybe a half hour involved in it, and it's the same 14 gauge metal, and then just drilled a couple, I think they're 5/16 holes, and what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting it like this. So this here will lock into this. Come on now, lock in there. Like that. And then there's a clip that goes on there. And what that does is stops this from turning. Keeps it all in one piece. And then what we'll do is we'll drill a couple holes here. We'll mount this like that. And then we'll tap them and put a couple 1/4 inch fine thread bolts through it. And then this end we'll mount in that hole right there. Just like that. So what we'll end up doing is putting this one here, and then this one will have a loop in it, like you see there, and it'll go like that. And what that will let us do is it'll let the rear end move up and down without kinking a steel line. That's what these rubber lines are for. And then what we'll do when we get this hooked up is we'll put our caliper on here with another rubber line on it, and then we'll run a steel line from here to our caliper, and then we'll do the same thing over to the other side, run from here to the caliper there, the rubber line. And then where this comes in here, we'll run down our frame and up and down and through to the front with the lead line that feeds all this in the back. These brake setups for the back of these, I think I got this set through Speedway Motors, I believe it was, and I think it was right around $350. It came with the rotors, the hats, and then you bolt them together. They're two pieces, and it came with this bracket here, this weld-on bracket, and it came with a brand new caliper. I believe the rubber line and the pads and everything came in a kit. It's a pretty easy kit to put on. These calipers have 3 different bolt patterns for them, so they'll fit several different applications. It's a pretty simple setup. We used it years ago when we were racing roundy round dirt cars. It works super good on those, and I've just used them ever since. As long as you run a stock type of master cylinder with proportioning valve and everything in the front, you can run this setup in the back, and it's always worked good for us. But you know, depending on your application, it may not be what you're looking for. You may want to put the stock drum sets back on it, which is fine. I kind of like the trick look of the disc brakes, and they're not really that cheap. If you're going to put all new brakes on it with wheel cylinder and a new drum and whatnot anyway, then this setup here might be an alternative. The only thing is with this setup is that it does not have an emergency brake setup in it. You can get them where the rotor has another set of brakes up inside there. I chose not to use that. I've never used one of those unless it came on a stock application and we just left it on there. But whenever I do my disc brakes on the rear, I always eliminate the emergency brakes anyway. For what we're doing, it's just a street rod or a rat rod. In this case, it's just a rat rod. We don't use the emergency brakes anyway. It's a good idea to have an emergency brake, especially with a standard transmission, but we don't use them. So to each his own. I recommend that if you're conscious about that, go ahead and use one of the setups that have the emergency brake setup in it. They're out there, they're available. If you get a different rear end out of a junkyard, it may already have the setup on it. A lot of the newer trucks, and both Ford and GM, I believe a lot of the Dodge, they have the setups on them, and it's a plug-and-play system. Sometimes you can just go to your dealership or your local wrecking yard or junkyard, and you can get that and convert it over to your brake system. And it's a lot of times just a matter of a fitting in a brake line, and you can go from a metric to a standard, and from a standard to a metric, vice versa. Realistically, it depends on what you want to use and how you want to do it. So we have automatic transmission that we're going to be putting in this, so I don't personally feel that I need to run a emergency brake system. So I'm not going to in this. Your application may be different, and you may want to, and that's fine. That's totally fine. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this, and hang in there. Hit that subscribe button and that notification button so you know when our new videos come out, and we're going to dive into this. So we'll get started right now. I have a bag or a box of goodies back here with all kinds of different things put into it, and one of the things I have is these little E-clips. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in there. I'm going to put E-clips on here to hold it in place. Okay, there we go. Now we have that. Go ahead and mark where we need to drill this at. We want that about right there. And you can move this wherever you need to. I just kind of centered it up here, approximately like that. And get this. There's that one. Go ahead and drill this one. Okay. Now we'll get our Alright, we'll just start this in there. Just like that. A little more cut and lubricant on there. Alright, we'll get a rag and a couple bolts and we'll bolt this all together. Okay. we go. Got that snug up. Alright, I'll go get a bolt and a nut to put this together with right here. And again, I'll be right back. Alright, as you can see, we got a rubber line here, down attached to here, our bracket. And in here we have our new line that we made. It goes down across here to our stock little clamp. And we come around in front of this here, come around in front, leaving enough room where we don't have nothing hitting it. Then we come around, let's see if we can get that in there, and then in behind and hook it in to this right here. So it makes that loop it around. Okay, so we'll duplicate the same thing on the other side, and then we'll start running our bigger line from here down and down through here. And then as we do that, we'll take and put some little clips in these holes that we drilled earlier in the frame before we painted it. We'll utilize those holes. We tapped them just like we did here. So yeah, there we go. We'll go ahead and do the other side up, and we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we got the passenger side done now here. As you can kind of follow it around here, we did the same thing we did on the driver's side. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start running the other line, the heavier line that goes down through here around the frame. We're going to start running that next, and that'll come right here to our rubber line. So I'm going to start off by putting a bend in it. Oh, I think we'll use the other end first. Okay, I'm going to put a 90-degree bend on this right here. Alright, and then that will get us back here to the back side of our, put a little bit more bend into it actually here. What this is going to do is it's going to run us up closer to our frame. There we go. And then here, I'll put a 90. Too far. Alright, now what that should do is that should run like that, and this should be able to go right here into our so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this here ever so slightly so I can have just a little bit of movement here with this. Put this together like that. This up. Put that there, and we'll tighten this down. Oh, wrong sides. There we go. Then I have these little clamps here, which I can put like this and just bend down like that. Put like this, and those will bolt right into them holes like that. First of all, I gotta make this 90-degree bend here so it goes down through here, and then we'll go through these holes in the frame here. So I'll go ahead and put that 90 in there. Okay, I'll go ahead and bend this down like that. Just a little bit too much. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple bolts in. Oh, I gotta get a couple washers. And I'm going to leave these loose for the time being. We're just going to put these in here, and that'll enable us to be able to move our wire or our line a little bit without kinking it. Okay. Now I got a union. That's going to go on the end of this. Bigger union goes on here, and again that's just gonna start threading that ever so slightly like that, and then take one of these other lines, and that's gonna go through there. That, and it needs to have a 90 on it. So probably go ahead and bend that 90 on there first. I think I want to go on this side of it. Let's see here. How far up? We want that 90. Okay, we got our connection somewhat tightened. We'll have to tighten it up the rest of the way here, but we want things a little bit loose so we can move them around a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this rubber grommet in this hole so we don't rub through our line. What I did is I cut it, and this is a big, thicker grommet for a thicker piece of metal. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in there like this, and then I'm going to work this end in with a screwdriver. Okay, we got our grommet in there. Now what we're going to do is bend our line down and go along the frame down here. So we'll set it in like this. There we go. Now we should be able to get a couple more of our little clips in there. Oh, that one's too small. Get a couple bullets in there. The washer's here somewhere. Okay, we're going to leave that loose, and I am going to put another union right here. Alright, now should be able to take one of these shorter lines. And we want a 90 about right there. Okay, there we go. Let's see how this fits. Alright, I think that'll work. I'm just gonna put a union on this end just to hold that piece up for now. Put this cardboard down. Okay. We'll get this threaded into this union. That. And I'll put a clip on here. Let's see, probably. That. And then this clip we'll probably put right here. Like that. Okay, it's all pretty much done except for tightening everything up. We're just going to leave that there until after we get our cab on, and then we'll hook from here to our master cylinder. I'll put a little tape or something on that so we don't get dirt in there. And then the next episode is going to be the front brakes, run lines on the front. So hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Hopefully you're getting some good information on what we got going, and we'll see you on the next one.